And we're live.
Hello, and welcome to Soiree Lifestyle Series 2020, episode 23. Thank you for joining our group and growing our community. Please say hello in the comments and let us know that you're here. Also, please use our comment section with questions you have for our guest speaker or for our hosts. The purpose of our group is to share valuable information in featured weekly segments with professionals in the respective fields around lifestyles, relationships, and entertaining. I am Rosemary Skinner, a professional event and wedding planner and event designer and the owner of Soiree Event Extraordinaire. My host, Crystal Cotto Sullivan, a connector and coach counselor. John Sullivan Counseling. Cynthia Ballard Cross is a marketing professional and the owner of CB Marketing, as well as a Reiki master. Our guest speaker today is Devani Peters. She is a yoga master. She specializes in Nidra. Is it Nidra yoga?
Yeah.
So let us learn to trust our inner being and return balance to our physical body with yoga, meditation, breath works, and Ayurvedic natural medicine. Devani loves to help people learn how to overcome the inner and outer struggles that way she can live a free and empowered life. When we learn how to listen deeply to our inner voice, when we get quiet, we will be naturally guided to our highest and fullest potential. Ayurvedic yogic principles are one of the most effective ways to unleash the power within. Releasing stress, anxiety, insecurities helps us to sleep better, gain a new perspective on life, and increase our confidence in our ability to move forward in life and with ease and joy. The goal is to get us out of our pain and misery and to bring us back into balance, our natural state of health and well-being. Understanding our body is the first step in achieving health. The more we understand, the better we are at maintaining it. And to do that with us today is our guest speaker, Devani. Please help us welcome her on. Thanks for joining us, Devani.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much. And yeah, that was a little great introduction. We use our body as a vehicle to recognize blockages. So I've been a yoga teacher now for probably 15 years. So it's in 2007 is when I took my first teacher training. And in 2011, when I was introduced to Yoga Nidra. So Yoga Nidra is a sleep-based meditation technique. I was introduced to it when I was living in BC. Now I've written a book about my story, so I'm going to kind of go back and forth a little bit. I wrote a book about my story because I have a very interesting story to tell. I left my family, my husband, everybody. I moved from Ontario to BC, and I was under a lot of stress. And I heard that there was this Indian guru coming to BC to teach a 5-day Yoga Nidra immersion. So in those 5 days, I couldn't believe the stress that was relieved and the clarity of mind that I experienced. So I immediately knew I found my teachers. And they were a group of yogis from Florida, actually Eastern Indian yogis. And I ended up traveling out there and spending a total of 8 months at an ashram, living in an ashram and learning all the yoga techniques and Yoga Nidra. Now, Yoga Nidra is a sleep-based meditation technique, uses various techniques, body awareness, breath techniques to bring you into this really deep, relaxed state. Now, Nidra means sleep. So it's like yogic sleep. So Nidra takes you with these different techniques. Nidra takes you, slows down the brain waves, taking you from a beta state where your mind is constantly busy to alpha, and then to even theta and delta states. And what happens when you sleep? When you sleep, you have dreams. So when you're put into this Yoga Nidra state, each technique takes you deeper and deeper into your body, where you start to become almost distorted in your body. When you are lying down and being guided by a Yoga Nidra, you may experience where you're not understanding that your limbs, you feel like your arm is twisted, but really it's not. What's happening is you're starting to notice that you're going into a deep, relaxed state. You're starting to lose body consciousness. And in this state is where This is where everything happens. This is where healing happens. When we go to sleep at night, our body is healing. And so, but when we're sleeping, we're not conscious of it. We only remember the dream when we wake up. In Yoga Nidra, you're actually being taken into that state, the exact same state that you do when you go to sleep, except you're doing it consciously. You're aware of everything. So when you're asleep, you have these dreams, sometimes past loved ones come to you. There's all sorts of different things that happen to you. So our job is just to observe what's happening, because everything we're doing is for the purpose of healing. And what it does is it really slows down the mind. And I think it's our mind that really is what really needs a lot of help with this. And so we want to just, maybe you can help me out. Yeah, we want to get ourselves to that point where we're aware that we're there, but we're not doing anything to make it happen. So it's just a guided meditation, but it's a very powerful guided meditation. And what I'd like to do with you, and it even would actually kind of help me right now, if I could actually show you, and we'll actually experience one of the techniques. So maybe we can all do it together. It's a 61-point meditation, and it's a body awareness techniques. And I'm going to be guiding you through point to point, and it's just going to take a few minutes, but you'll kind of get the effect of what one of even just one technique will do. And so I'm going to guide you from point to point. We're going to start at the third eye, and each point, it's a marma point, and we're moving deeply into meditation by keeping our mind engaged. So we're going from point to the throat, to the shoulder, and all you have to do is follow along with your mind. And you could even allow those areas that you're thinking about to kind of light up as we go through the different points. And you're really going to notice how busy your mind really is as we close our eyes and we start to go through these techniques. And this is a really great technique if you have a short attention span. So our mind is constantly going. And I give you a good example of, for example, Sheila. She was a lady who used to come to my yoga classes, and she was going to the dentist. She was put in front of the chair, and she was asked to put this mold into her mouth, and she was supposed to sit like that for 5 or 10 minutes or whatever. She went into a panic state. Like there was no way that she could actually do that. She remembered the points, the 61 points, and as they were doing this process with her, she's lying down and she's visualizing going through the different points in the body. She said it went by so fast, and she didn't even notice it. So there's different techniques. It's not just when we're in Yoga Nidra. We can use these various techniques to help us in everyday life too. So all you have to do is close your eyes and just allow yourself to be guided. Instead of thinking, and I want you to notice when you're thinking, notice and let the thought go by, and then come back to the different points in the body. And I want you to be aware, if you're going to be able to, for the full minute or two, whatever this is going to take, whether your mind wanders or whether you can stay present in the present moment. And that's kind of what it's teaching you to do too. It's teaching you to be in the present moment. Okay, so this is going to help me too as we just kind of sit. And I'll close my eyes with you. So make sure that we're sitting up nice and tall. So Yoga Nidra is normally done lying down in a really comfortable position. Some people have a tendency to fall asleep. You want to really make sure that you don't fall asleep. And it also can be done in a chair, but the purpose is for our spine to be nice and long. And you want to be really comfortable so that you can completely let go into the experience. Now, I'm only going to give you one technique, whereas in Yoga Nidra, we would maybe do 3 or 4 in about a 45-minute process, okay? So I know I'm leading up to it. We're going to continue to do this practice. So let's sit up again. The energy runs up and down the spine, and this is the reason why we sit up with our spine nice and straight. So why don't you sit up nice and tall and close your eyes. Take a deep inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Let's do this a couple times. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And just feel a deep sense of peace and contentment wash over you. Now with your eyes closed, know that you have went from a beta state where your brain waves are extremely busy, and you've already dropped into an alpha state just by closing your eyes. And instead of looking at the screen, you're listening with your ears. Stay present as I guide you from point to point. Remain in non-doing, silent awareness. Stay alert. Now bring your attention to the center between your eyebrows. The pit of the throat. Right shoulder. Right elbow. Right wrist. Tip of the right thumb. Tip of the index finger. Middle finger. Ring finger. Little finger. Right wrist. Right elbow. Right shoulder. Pit of the throat. Left shoulder. Left elbow. Left wrist. Tip of the left thumb. Tip of the index finger. Middle finger. Ring finger. Little finger. Left wrist. Left elbow. Left shoulder. Pit of the throat. Center of the chest. Right side of the chest. Center of the chest. Left side of the chest. Center of the chest. Navel point. Middle of the pubic bone. Right hip. Right knee. Right ankle. Tip of the right big toe. Second toe. Third toe. Fourth toe. Fifth toe. Right ankle. Excuse me, right knee. Right hip. Middle of the pubic bone. Left hip. Left knee. Left ankle. Tip of the left big toe. Second toe. Third toe. Fourth toe. Fifth toe. Left ankle. Left knee. Left hip. Middle of the pubic bone. Navel point. Center of the chest. Pit of the throat. And then all of the attention, keep it at the center between your eyebrows, and feel your energy and attention drawn inward and upward. Continuing to just keep your attention at the center between your eyebrows. Observe the vast stillness and silence. Just notice what appears without comment or judgment. Just witness as it floats by like a cloud in the sky. Now let's gently just begin to open our eyes. And just thoughts. So there we went through the entire body, engaging our mind fully, wondering, did thoughts come up? Curious, anyone? Did thoughts come up? Or were you able to stay with the practice the whole time. So this is just one of the techniques that's used to help. And so the more often we do yoga nidra, the more of its effects. They've done studies on this, and like a 45-minute yoga nidra is the same, it's got the equivalent of 3 hours of sleep. And 3 hours of sleep, we can do a lot of healing in 3 hours of sleep. And also, after you've done 11 yoga nidras, continuous 11 yoga nidras, it does something to the chemistry of your brain. It actually changes the chemistry of your brain to begin to think on a more positive level. So there's some really good studies that have been done with yoga nidra. It's similar to meditation. It is meditation, but we all know that meditation is good for us. But meditation isn't that easy. We can be, with yoga nidra, you can actually get to those states that the yogis practice where they don't need the guidedness, where they just sit and just empty their mind of thoughts. You can actually come to that place without a whole lot of practice. They're doing years of practice in the caves in India, and you can practice yoga nidra and get there very, very quickly to those same states. So most of us can't just practice meditation and just be there without any thoughts. It's almost impossible because the thoughts are always there. We're just the witness to it and just watching them go by. And so common experiences that you can feel in yoga nidra, because you're letting go of the body and mind, you really start to feel your pulsations in your body. And what yogis are trying to say is this pulsations that are flooding through our body. This is prana. Prana is also considered the life force energy. And also in Christianity, prana is considered the Holy Spirit. So everyone has the Holy Spirit within us. We have prana flowing through our body. Now, prana is more than just the breath. The breath is activated by prana. You can have a lack of prana and still be a shallow breather and have a lack of prana. So prana is that life force energy, and the life force energy that does the healing for you. So you're not the one doing it, understanding that there's something deeper within you that is doing it. We're not the doers. And this is one thing that was really stressed in the yoga training, is that we're not the doers. We are just the witness to what is happening. So when we're in yoga nidra, this is exactly what we're doing. We're just witnessing what happens as we follow the energy that's going through the body. And when we trust and we let go into this energy, that's when everything happens. And also a part of yoga is a sister science of yoga is Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the natural medicine that helps in healing the body as well. Ayurveda has 3 pillars, and the first one is lifestyle, and it's our lifestyle. And the second one is nutrition, because what we put into our body affects the inside. What we put in the inside affects our outside. And the last part of the Ayurveda, the third pillar, is sleep. So sleep is where we do the rejuvenating and the healing of the body. So these are the 3 things that are important: lifestyle, nutrition, and sleep. And what else should we talk about? Should we talk about karma?
Well, you know what, Devani, talk a little bit more about how the Ayurveda works, because I think many people are not familiar with Ayurvedic health, and maybe a little bit about the different body types and how nutrition is different for different body types, that type of thing.
Okay. Yeah, Ayurvedic is
the other thing, Devani, would be to tell your own story, how you got into this.
Okay.
That can go later.
Okay, yeah. Let me do the Ayurveda right now because that's on my mind. Okay, so Ayurveda, we're all made up of the 5 elements. So the universe has 5 elements. There's water, air, fire, earth. Am I missing one? Yeah, ether. Yeah, there we go. We've got the 5 elements, and we're all made up of these elements. And the whole entire universe is also made up of these 5 elements. So we're all made up of these elements in different ratios. I actually got a chart here that I would like to show you that's really spectacular to show you about the different energies. these 5 energies, I'm hoping that this is going to work. This might not work.
Yeah, pull it in a little bit. Yeah, it's working. Pull it in a little bit there. Perfect.
Yeah. So we're all made up of these 5 energies, but we're made up, everyone's different. Everyone has got a completely different blueprint. Just like our fingerprints are very unique to us, so is our constitution. So this is an example of myself, and this is an example of my husband and the different energies that we are made up of. I am made up mostly of fire and water, and also vata, a lot of air and ether, with a little bit of kapha, a little bit of earth and water. So my husband is much heavier than I am. He's made up of mostly earth and water. He has quite a bit of fire within him too, but very little air and ether. Our constitutions are completely different. And if I would have understood this when we first got married, I might have made things a lot more interesting, because I would have been able to figure them out a whole lot better. So we're made up of all these different elements, and we can't all eat the same diet.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Different food for the different people.
And so Devani, lifestyle then is different as well, because you said, you know, some people are lighter and some people are heavier. I'm assuming that is not around weight as much as just our stance in the world. Is that what lightness means, or heaviness? What does that mean?
Well, it's just depending on your different constitutions. I mean, if you've got more like kapha in you, for example, which would be more earth and water, you're going to be a more compassionate person. Have more compassion. You're going to be more easygoing. You're probably going to be more liked by everybody. You're just that type of person. Now, if you have a lot of fire in you, you're going to have a lot of, you're going to be very driven, very determined. This is me. I just can't seem to give up on the projects I do. I can't seem to give up on my purpose in life. I've got this drive that I don't understand. It's because I've got so much of that fire energy within me. That's naturally who I am. And we will all want to get back to our natural state. And if you are the vata energy, which is a lot of air and ether, and this is the one that everybody is so out of balance with, because internet, everything is vata in the world, the things that are flashing back and forth, Facebook, scrolling through, this is all considered vata energy, and we're all becoming more out of balance with our air and ether, and we need to get back into balance. Our natural state of well-being is we have to figure out what our constitution is. And there's easy tests that you can take. If you went online and said dosha quiz, if you Google dosha quiz, you would get something. Deepak Chopra has a really great, very simple dosha test on his website to find out what your different elements that you're made of, what your constitution is. Because all we want to do is get back into balance of what we were naturally. Think back when you were a young girl or a young boy. This is even before puberty. You were naturally balanced. We want to find that place now again, where we're naturally balanced, because we have so many imbalances within us. And all we need to do is bring things back into balance. And we need to stop being so extreme. With the balance, it's kind of a natural law, just kind of like gravity. When we walk on top of a roof, if we step off, we're going down because of gravity, right? It's a natural law. This is the same thing and living in extreme life. So we're living in a very extreme life. And I think that's what's happening in the world. And that's why what's going on, that's why what's happening in the world is happening, because of the extremes. So we swing this pendulum to extreme. We're over on this side. If we let that pendulum go, there's no way it's going to settle in the middle. It's going to swing to the opposite side. It's a natural law. It can't not go that way. So this is, in other words, even with what's going on in the world, we've gone so extreme. Do you know what? We're going to have to go to the other extreme in order to bring balance. So yoga is about living in the middle path, living in that balance. And that's where the Ayurveda helps to know your constitution and to know where your balance is. So it's basically trying to find the right foods, the right conditions for your life. Where is your balance? And it's great to work with that and discover that. Yes.
Cool. So personality wise, some of the things that come to mind for me is that if someone is vata and light, they need to work at being grounded.
Yes. Yes. Now, Vata person should not be, and most people are Vata out of balance. They were saying, if you don't know how to treat a client, treat Vata, because everybody has that imbalance, because it's a crazy world constantly going. We're up in the air, and yeah, everybody needs grounding. And those type of people should not be in a power yoga class. There should be the ones that do in the yoga, Nidra, and meditation. So the Vata is very, very important that they get themselves into meditation.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anybody who's got that imbalance. So a Kapha person who's carrying more weight, they're naturally carrying more weight, but they need to move more, and they're probably going to eat less. They're probably going to not require as much food.
So they would probably need to work on their intuition and trusting themselves in terms.
But the thing is, they're naturally a Kapha. Let them be a Kapha. They probably won't be as intuitive.
Okay.
But where is their imbalance? That's the thing. Everybody's imbalance is different. Where's their imbalance? If you're mostly a Kapha person, you want to be that easygoing, relaxed person who has a lot of compassion for other people, and you want to be that because that's who you are. I probably don't have a whole lot of that compared to my husband. He's got more compassion for other people, more so than I do. I'm kind of more sharp, and sharp is another word, Pitta sign. Anyone who's sharp with their words, that kind of thing, that's Pitta. That's a Pitta quality. So we have to be our natural self. And
okay, so these are called doshas then. So if I look up
doshas for your constitution, yes.
And then I can take a quiz and I can figure this out.
Yes.
I've done it before, so I just need to go back to learning more about it again. Cool.
Yeah. It is very, very interesting. And you learn a lot about yourself. And yoga too is all about self-discovery, and yoga and Ayurveda go together.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions for you, Devani. When you say you did the 8-month training, was that in Florida?
Yes. Okay. I've done a lot of yoga training. I've got almost 800 hours worth of yoga training. I started out, here's where John's question is, how did I come to this yoga?
Yes, great.
Yeah. So in 2007, I decided to take yoga teacher training, and I went over to Detroit because there was no studios in this area at all. There was a couple in Windsor, but I didn't connect with them at the time. And through a yoga retreat, I found this person who was training, and I could do a yoga teacher training for an entire year. So for an entire year, I went from Leamington to the Detroit border every single weekend for a whole entire year. I got my training there. And that was my beginning. That was the beginning of my yoga training. And I immediately, because I got this Pitta constitution, I'm a real go-getter. By the way, Pittas, people who are Pittas, I know that I am here to be a leader because we have the energy to teach, we're leaders. It's just the way it is. And it's like, I got this entrepreneur mind. Like immediately, as soon as I had I didn't even have my training complete, and I was already opening up a studio at my home. It's just the way I operated. Yeah. And so from there, it was very interesting. And I have written and documented my very interesting story in a book, and it's called From Mennonite to Yogi. So I come from a Mennonite family. I was born in Mexico. We immigrated into this country when I was 2 years old. And just the whole experience of growing up Mennonite, if you understood what Mennonite was, and in the book, I'll go into a little bit more of an explanation of From Mennonite to Yogi, you'll see how much of a big step that is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a pretty huge step in the way that they see things and the practices, and very, very different. So it's got to say it's a huge jump. And so I did find myself very unhappy in my marriage, very unhappy all of a sudden, and I made the decision to leave my family and move to BC for a year. I didn't think I was coming back to Leamington at all. I decided to move, and that's where I met my teachers who taught me Yoga Nidra, and that changed my life because I was kind of all over the board, probably very Vata imbalance. I was very restless. That's another thing with the Vata imbalance. You're always into the air and ether. You're constantly in an imbalance. You're very restless. You can't stay still. There's no contentment. The Vatas have a very hard time just being content. And that's where I was. So once I found my teachers, like I said, in that 5-day yoga nidra immersion, I changed so much in 5 days. I couldn't believe it because I was under a lot of stress, and moving was not an easy thing for me. And then when he did say in one of his lectures, you know, one or more of you are going to follow me to Florida. And I knew immediately, okay, now I know my direction. I know where I'm going. My lease was almost up at that point in Kelowna. And I thought, okay, that's where I'm going. That's my new direction. And so they became my teachers. And so I stayed there. And when he said, you're going to come and stay with us for a few months. So I already knew I got me a place to stay. This is happening so automatically, you know. Cool. And he's an Indian guru from India. He's the founder of Kripalu Yoga. I don't know if you know.
Oh, yeah.
Amrit Yoga Desai. He has an ashram in the Salt Springs, Florida. And so I ended up staying there for a total of 4 months. And what I did is I took all their training. I took the yoga nidra training, you know, the teacher training, the nidra training, any of the trainings that they had, I was involved in it or helping it out. And I also worked in the kitchen there. And that's where I learned about the Ayurvedic cooking.
Oh, fantastic.
Because you're eating the Ayurvedic food there. You're living the full lifestyle. And I'm going to tell you, if you do this for a few months at a time, you live that lifestyle, there's a transformation that takes place.
Yeah.
And really what you have to do is take full responsibility for your life, because there's no more blaming anybody else, because everything on the outside is just a reflection of what's going on your inside, because everybody sees views differently. Think about the COVID. I mean, how differently everybody sees the COVID and the stress that goes along with that.
Exactly. And I think one of the reasons we wanted you to talk about this is because people are out of balance, and sometimes we don't even know that we're out of balance. You know, we're just kind of feeling a little bit not quite ourselves, but we don't realize we're actually off balance, and that we need to really look at, okay, how do I reground myself and get back into balance? And your image of the pendulum is very important, because it's a law of physics, isn't it? It's like from one extreme to another. It doesn't go, boom, oh, okay, now I'm balanced. It's like, whoo, I'm going.
That's why the world is going to have to go through something extreme in order to bring the balance. It's because it's a law, and it's just right. The way it works.
That's right. Exactly. So let me see. I think I had one other question for you about, let me see. Okay, you talked about your story. That was fantastic. I can't wait to read your book.
Yes.
It'll be amazing. And so when is the book coming out?
The book is just in its finishing touches now, and it'll be ready before Christmas. So it should be in the publishers by December, and by Christmas for sure everyone should have their book.
Fantastic.
Christmas read.
Great. Now, from my co-hosts, are there any questions or points you want clarified from Devani at this point? And then we can shift.
No, I think that was such interesting information, and there seems like there's learned a lot today, and Crystal has a good point about being about finding our balance, and Devani speaking to that as well. And I feel we are out of balance because of everything that has happened, and we did have a major shift in our major thing happened in our world, which has probably made us unbalanced or looking for that balance. And so this is such an interesting, so interesting, everything that you talked about. And Crystal, great questions too. I know you practiced it too as well, right? So you have some knowledge in it, which is wonderful. So we're going to move along, but Devani, we're going to come back to you. So for our audience, please feel free to put questions in the comment section as well as comments. And we're to tie into what Devani's been saying. Crystal's going to continue with speaking to us about anxiety and journaling. And to tie in with what Devani's spoken about. So I'll turn it over to you, Crystal.
Okay, great. So when we were listening to Devani, it was interesting because some of the words that came up that I think are really worth thinking about are busy mind and being present. And generally what happens when we become anxious is that we're actually listening to a conversation in our head. And so that conversation is, on some level, if you can imagine, it's really not us. It's like this voice that is observing the world and arguing with us. Because if you think about what happens in your head, sometimes there's an argument going on, and think about it. Why would I argue with myself? So when we notice that there is this voice, then what we want is to become a little bit more objective about that voice. So there's a great book, and if you've ever worked with me, one of the first books that I will often recommend is Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul. And I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs, because he really is he says it very succinctly in terms of what we need to do so that we're not so tied up in our head. Because I mean, our head is not where to live. Our living is about being out here and observing what is going on and participating. So he talks in chapter 2 about your inner growth is completely dependent on the realization that the only way to find peace and contentment is to stop thinking about yourself. You're ready to grow when you finally realize that the I, who is always talking inside, will never be content. It always has a problem with something, right? There's always something to worry about. Honestly, when was the last time you really had nothing bothering you? Before you had your current problem, there was a different problem. And if you're wise, you will realize that after this one's gone, there will be another one. The bottom line is you'll never be free of problems until you are free from the part within that has so many problems. When a problem is disturbing you, don't ask, what should I do about it? Ask, what part of me is being disturbed by this? If you ask, what should I do about it? You've already fallen into believing that there really is a problem outside that must be dealt with. If you want to achieve peace in the face of your problems, you must understand why you perceive a particular situation as a problem. If you're feeling jealous, instead of trying to see how you can protect yourself, just ask, what part of me is jealous? That will cause you to look inside and see there's a part of you that's having a problem with jealousy. It's not about the outer world. It's about the inner world. And once you clearly see the disturbed part, then ask, who is it that sees this? Who notices this inner disturbance? And then he goes on to talk about object and subject relations. So I will often say to my clients, rather than getting caught in the problem and trying to analyze it and think, what am I going to do? And I'm overwhelmed. It's like, just be curious so that we're a little bit detached from that voice. So rather than saying, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Say, well, isn't that interesting that I'm thinking about that in this particular way? And what it does is it gives us a little bit of distance from the voice. And then a great thing to do about that is to actually journal. Pick up your journal and write about that voice. What have you found that's interesting about that voice? What is that voice trying to convince you of? Because as Michael Singer says, once you're finished worrying about one thing, then there's another thing, and there's another, and there's another. And particularly these days, it's like, if you're listening to the news all the time, yeah, plenty to worry about. But what is that going to change? Is that going to change how you engage in life? Is that going to change how you are present to whatever is happening around you? When Devani talks about, when she did that great meditation, really it was about paying attention to what's happening in my body. And for me, it forced me to just kind of really focus rather than think, oh my goodness, okay, am I making sure, what are the questions on Facebook? And do I have my notes here? And what am I going to say? It's like, no, because all that's going to happen anyway. So it was just about being present and clearing my mind. And really, Devani, that really is a great way to meditate, because there's a focus, and there's a focus as opposed to getting caught in the thoughts. Because I know a lot of people struggle with meditation because they're trying to calm their mind as opposed to just kind of watch it and let it go and let it go and let it go. So my recommendation, if you're struggling with worry or anxiety, is to read Michael Singer's book, but also journal, so that you're getting that voice onto the paper. And then once it's there, leave it there. Just leave the worries on the paper and then go about your day with less heaviness and less worry and less anxiety. And the other way to get away from I am the center of the universe is to focus on gratitude. And I'm going to hand this over to Cynthia because she has a great idea to help us to be more grateful. Cynthia.
Excellent. Thank you. What a wonderful segment. This is great. You know, as we're approaching October, you know, we have, you know, fall is here and Thanksgiving is here and you have Halloween as well. So, you know, tying that all in with, you know, we're calling it our grateful pumpkin, and it kind of ties in everything because pumpkins right now are something that we have for the fall. It's something we use for display for Halloween, and it's something we can use in turns for Thanksgiving. So I'm not too sure if any of the viewers here have done something similar or have heard of the grateful pumpkin, but it is exactly how it sounds. So what we're going to do is you grab a pumpkin. You can do a white pumpkin, you can do an orange pumpkin, or whatever you choose. It can be a real pumpkin or it can be a fake one, and that way there you can keep it every single year if it's a tradition that you want to do with your family. And at the top of your pumpkin, what you're going to do is you're going to either write, we are thankful for, or we are grateful for. Now I put we because I do it as a family. If it's just yourself that's going to be using this as a journal for the month, then you can put I am thankful for, or I am grateful for. And what I invite you to do is a time where you're all together. For us, it's dinner time. So at dinner time, we're always all together. And we each choose three things that we are grateful for. So, you know, generally any day we'll have our highs and our lows that we talk about at the dinner table. But especially during October, you can use this pumpkin and you choose 3 things that you're grateful for. Start with things that are, you know, extremely important in your life, you know, helping to instill you know, the grateful patterns. So things of, you know, the roof of your head, food, people in your family, the things, the privileges that we have and we're able to do. You know, for our kids, they're in travel sports, so they may be grateful for those different things in there. And then you can, you know, as you go on through the month, you're going to start maybe even having a repeat or different things. I mean, this weekend I got a manicure, so, you know, you can put something in there. I am grateful to have the time to have a manicure, you know, things of those nature, anything that you're grateful for. And, you know, taking what Devani said and taking what Crystal said, what this does is it really puts your mind in a thankful, grateful state. And it just breeds positivity, because there are so many things that we can concentrate on that is negative in this world. But to be able to bring a positive light in such a gorgeous time right now will be extremely helpful. And at the end of the month, we're us as hosts are going to do this grateful pumpkin, and we can share what our pumpkins look like. And we'd love to see your photos too. If viewers, if you want to share at the end of the month what your pumpkins look like, we would love to see that in the comment sections, you know, whenever we have our shows, or you know, in general, you can message us. It would be great to see your families doing this. And you can call it the grateful pumpkin, the thankful pumpkin, or whatever you want to coin it, but please do enjoy.
That was awesome. Both thank you to all our speakers today, and that was such great things to move forward through fall. You know, it's a time of the changing of the leaves. I think the changing of ourselves for betterment and to get peacefulness because of everything that everybody has gone through this pandemic. So I'm going to keep moving along. I'm going to go back to Crystal if there are, and actually any comments or questions for our guest speaker or for any of the hosts.
Okay, so Devani, what are your plans now for classes and for what you're offering to people?
Yeah, I'm moving my classes online at this time. Well, I have a program that I'm beginning, and I'm gonna invite people to join a 3-month program with me. And so therefore I'll have yoga classes and yoga nidras. I'll have It's yoga for inner peace and balance. I'm working with women in midlife. And so we want to work on transforming. So working with us for the 3 months and transforming whatever issues that you're working on. So we'll work with you for 3 months, a step-by-step program with world-class performance and also mindset coaching. So it's also a coaching session. So I'll be working with you one-on-one quite a bit. And so that's what I'm planning on doing right now with working with people with my yoga.
And so people can find that on your website?
Right now, my book is on my website. I'm in the process of putting that onto my website. If you could join my Facebook group, it's a private Facebook group, and it's Women in Midlife Yoga for Inner Peace and Balance. And there I'll be sharing a little bit more about my program, more about how you can hook up with me. So that would be a really great place if you could join that.
And Cynthia, have you put that onto the Facebook page? Great. So if people want to join her private Facebook group, that should be underneath the screen for you to join that. So that's fantastic. And your book will be out before December or in December. So you've got a lot of stuff going on there.
The book is called From Mennonite to Yogi. It's my personal journey. It's a very interesting book. It's going to be like the best read of the year or even next year.
I like that. Yeah. That's the old fire in you. Yeah.
You can go to the website, DevanniYoga.com, and you can actually pre-order your book right now. If you pre-order, you get an autographed copy, free shipping, and you get it for a better price because the price will be going up in December when that book actually comes out. So I'm leaving that opportunity. And also, I wanted to give a free book out today. Are we giving a giveaway?
Yes, we're going to have our weekly giveaway, and thank you for sponsoring that giveaway. We'll let you tell. So go ahead. We'll let you share that you're giving away your.
Yes, my giveaway for this program is my book. So
awesome.
You get an autographed book. I will personally ship it to you. Just whoever's the winner, just let me know what your name, address, and good luck.
So
fantastic.
That's awesome. And what a great idea for a gift, for a Christmas gift in that. So if you're looking for something something that someone has everything, how about a great book like this that'll be coming up? And to share your story, I'm sure that there's a lot of people that will be able to be inspired by your story and maybe propel them to make changes that maybe they were struggling with to make in that. Yeah. But this has been awesome. Everything from your yoga to the journaling to the grateful pumpkin, it just a great show today. All our shows are great, but this is good because I feel like such great information has gone out. Did we want to do the draw yet, or do you want to do a few more? Okay, well, Cynthia's doing the draw. I'm just gonna she'll be doing that. Oh, here we go. Let's let her do that. And again, thank you, Devani, for the great presentation, all the information you provided for the show. And please, thank you to Cynthia for posting all the connections. Oh, Corey Ford is the winner.
Okay, Corey.
So, Corey, if you are watching, please just, we'll message you to get all your details, and then we'll connect you with Devani directly. So that's awesome. You'll be getting that wonderful book. I want to say thank you to Crystal and to Cynthia for your great presentations and sharing all that stuff. I'm excited to do that pumpkin. What a great idea. And I just want to mention, for kids, what a great thing to start learning early on to to learn to journal, what you're talking about journaling, and Cynthia's saying about for them to be what they're grateful for. I know my niece, my nephew, he's gonna be 10, but this past year she told me how she had him journaling for what he was grateful for. And I thought, what a great idea. I mean, as kids, we never probably even know. I mean, you were just told you to be grateful.
That's right. And if you're not.
Yeah.
But what a wonderful thing to teach kids at a younger age and to have this family tradition and that. So I think that's wonderful. And thank you for sharing that with us. Just checking our time. So
I also wanted to share, sorry, Rosemary.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, yes.
Devani, I know that you can't really see the comments, and Crystal and I have kind of monitored the comments throughout the show here. We do have 3 women who have joined us. I mean, there's others, but these 3 women have commented. They're currently healing right now. There's two that are in post-op. and there's one that's healing. So this has been really wonderful for them, and they thank you very much for taking us through that practice. So I wanted to share that with you because we never know whose lives are being touched through these shows. So thank you.
And also someone's bought your book.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was going to say that, you know, one of the things is the last speech that Oprah did that I actually listened to, she said the way we're going to heal the world is by women telling their stories. And at that point, I hadn't decided to write my book yet. And it was like, I got to write my book. It's enough. I've heard it enough times. I've got to write my story, because through our stories is how we heal. It's not like we constantly bring up these wounds. I'm telling you, I have a lot of healing, and especially with my mother through writing this book. Wow. You know,
that's wonderful.
Well, I was going to ask you what triggered you to write the book.
Loving and forgiving my mother. I had no idea that this book was going to create this. Wow. So it was a huge gift for me. Fantastic. And so I'm hoping that others will get that same healing. Like, I have no idea. All I know is I'm telling my story in my own words. I'm a very simple person. And I think a lot of women are going to be able to connect, and it's going to help a lot of people. And that's my reason for doing it. It's not even personal anymore. It's something happens to you when you write a book. And I would encourage, because any woman can write a book with help for sure.
That's great. I just wanted to comment that, you know, Rosemary was talking about journaling and children. I think it's also important that kids are introduced to yoga because they can be so off balance for the present in terms of COVID, but also so much time on screens. I think that they need to get balanced, get back in touch with their body, because so much of what they're doing is in their head. And, you know, I know my daughter makes sure that the kids get outside and they're in nature. And I think all of that is important, but it's also important, I think, for them to learn how to calm their mind as well. And I know my grandkids enjoy yoga. They often do yoga with their moms. So I think
it's great with kids. Yeah,
it's great for kids. So yeah.
And know also that if you want access to Yoga Nidras, all you have to do is Google Yoga Nidra and start a few. There's some really good ones online. And I actually got some online too. So I should probably put my YouTube channel on there. I've got a couple of them too. Yes.
And you type it in the chat, Devani, and then Cynthia will put it on the Facebook, because we're Zoom into Facebook. So if you type that in, that'd be great.
Yeah. So just go ahead and they even have them for kids. They actually have yoga nidras that are recorded.
Fantastic. Because I know that you know, we talk a lot about adults and how we're dealing with COVID, but I know for kids, for a lot of kids, there's a lot of anxiety and worry about it, and they're picking it up from us. Like, they're feeling our energy, and then all of a sudden they have this anxiety that kids shouldn't have to have, that kind of worry and anxiety. So.
And we need to reset. You know, our body is naturally like for 60 and 90 minutes at a time, we can handle like huge amounts of anxiety and an intensity. But sometimes people carry it around for weeks and months and even years, when we're actually only designed for 60 to 90 minutes to hang on to some intensity and then let it go.
That's right. Until we're eaten by the saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah.
It's gone.
either lunch or you get them. Yeah.
I'm very, very passionate about what I do, because I know the transformation that takes place when you have a regular yoga practice and you bring yourself into balance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's very clear from the way that you're speaking, and your passion comes out. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and more than anything, when I'm actually conducting a yoga nidra is when I'm really feeling like I'm in that space. And when you're in my program, you will get personalized yoga nidras for you with your intentions, your affirmations, and the things that you want to work on.
That's great. And having been in one of your classes, I can recommend Devani as a yoga teacher. Absolutely, 100%. So
thank you.
We have a comment question from Linda, one of our viewers. She asked, she said, I used to do a light going from top of my head and being very present, going throughout my whole body to the tips of my toes. Is this somewhat similar to the practice of meditation we just did?
I got the goosebumps. Yeah, it's anything's going to help. Yeah, whatever you're doing. I mean, might be similar. We're working through different marma points. It might be different, but yeah, it sounds like it's
okay. That's
a technique that if it works for
a lot
you.
of great comments. I just want to say thank you to our audience. We got a lot of nice comments and that very active today with the comments on our thing. But I think that yoga is so important to people, and it is a practice that that people use. And I think it's such a great tool to have. And your thing that you guided us through there, that was awesome. It was like very like calming and very focusing. I know I want to take some yoga with you.
Yes, and the more often you do it, the easier you can get there. It really is that way.
Yes.
Absolutely. So I we're coming up to the hour. I just want to kind of talk about next week. Our guest speaker is we're actually inviting back Chef Tony from the Kata Food Bar. She is going to prepare a turkey. So she's going to show us how to prepare a turkey and then how to carve the turkey along with making your side dishes. I'm going to do a table setting for Thanksgiving. And following week, we're really excited about this announcement. I'm going to turn it over to John because we have some pretty big people coming on as our guests. Not that everybody isn't great, but this is like a big for us. John, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, well, you're so passionate about the yoga, Devani, and I'm passionate about relationships because I know how important they are. And if you're balanced there, you can handle a lot of other stuff. And the relationship isn't square, the intimate relationship, it makes the other stuff harder. Anyway, the two people coming on the 14th, October 14th, are my mentors, Harville Hendricks and his wife, Helen Kelly Hunt. Harville and Helen, they're the creators of Imago Relationship Therapy, and they wrote the book, Getting the Love You Want, a guide for couples in 1988, and then they republished it 2008, 20th anniversary edition, and they republished it again 2018, a third edition, 30th anniversary edition. And he sold over 4 million copies, and he trained about 2,500 of us around the world doing this work, the Imago work. I was actually the first, at least I claim to be, I'll check with him, but I think I am, the first international guy he trained. He's in Texas, I'm here, but now it's in 53 countries. So he's one of the real heavies around relationships, he and his wife. They've been on Oprah 17 times. And so we're really excited to have them here. It's great information. We'll hear about what they're moving into because I know they're trying to take some of the stuff that we used to do in the office and take it to the wider community, like parents and kids, teachers and students, employers, employees, with what they're calling safe conversation. So I'm excited, obviously, my mentor, the person that, and I guess I can tell my story, but maybe I'll leave it to the 14th. But anyway, Harville Hendricks and his wife, Helen Kelly Hunt, October 14th. Thank
you, John. That is awesome. We're so excited. I mean, they're on Oprah. They're going to be on Story Lifestyle Series 2020. That's huge. And John, just so people know that you counsel couples and stuff like that. And this is, Yeah, I train with Harville. So how much time we got? I got a minute. So our story, my wife there, Crystal and I, 15 years into our marriage, we separated, and the marriage was over. And my wife, actually read the book first, Harville's book, Getting the Love You Want. And one of the points Harville makes is that what often happens in our culture is we get rid of our partner, but we keep the problem and take the same problem in the next relationship. So we both said, well, that makes sense. So we said, let's not waste that 15-year history. Let's figure out what didn't work so we don't repeat the pattern. Anyway, 4 months later, we're back together. 2 months later, we went down to Chicago to a workshop Harville gave. And at that point, I said, this guy makes a ton of sense. So I went to New York and trained with Harville. And then 2 years later, went back to train to the workshop. So I've been doing the same workshops around the States and Canada that he did in Chicago. And I'm not doing them now, but for 20 years, I did a lot of them. So I tell people, I say, look, if you're going to work with me, this is what you're going to get. Intellectually, it makes sense to me. My wife, Crystal, and I just celebrated our 45th anniversary this year, but it wouldn't have happened without this. So it's very personal for me. It's not just theory. I would not be here and have the great relationship I have without this work that we did. And
I see it play itself out of my office. I've seen it play itself out of my office for 30 years. And I remember years ago saying to Harville, I really thanked him for, he's a genius. He's a brilliant, brilliant guy. And I thanked him, and he said, and he appreciated it. But then he said, you did the work. And the same with me. So I work with couples. I'm a coach. I like coaching because I've done a lot of coaching, and often my players, what they're doing is not working, or not working as well as they want. There's nothing wrong with them, but what they're doing is not working. I think the same is true of couples. Sometimes what they're doing is not working, or not working as well as they want. Now they can keep doing it, or they can do it differently, and that's my job. So, but I'm as you can tell, I get pretty passionate about it too. So I get wound up too, Devani. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us, John. We're up in there. Cynthia, we can just put John's link as well. So if somebody, there's couples, I know you work with couples getting married. My cousin Stephanie and John were in your workshop and that. So just wanted to throw that out there because we don't often say what we do or talk a lot about what we do. So I think leading up to having that couple on, but quickly, because we're at the 2 o'clock mark. Thank you so much, Devani. Got so much out of what you did. That was awesome. Thank you. I'm sure we're going to have you back. Actually, when your book is out, we would love to have you back.
Yes.
With your book. Thank you, Crystal, for the presentation on journaling. Thank you, Cynthia, for the presentation on the Grateful Pumpkin. And John, thank you for sharing that with us, and also for hooking us up with these future people. I am so ecstatic about this. But thank you, everybody. Yes, do your pumpkin. I know we're going to do ours starting tomorrow, October the 1st. And I know for Thanksgiving, we're going to share it around the table. So what a beautiful keepsake to have with those messages from family members and that. So thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. We look forward to having you back. Our shows are recorded, so please do share them or have a watch party. But there was a lot of great information today. So I think people can really be inspired by today's show and have picked up some techniques and some great information to help us with our day-to-day lives. So take care. Thank you again for all your support. We'll see you here next week. Bye, everybody.